Hello everyone and welcome to this video. In this video we will be building a Spring Boot Hello World application. So in our application we will be creating one RESTful endpoint which will be using a get method to display a small message. So we have this Spring Boot project imported in our Eclipse. So this project we have created using the Spring Boot Initializr. There's already one video where I have shown how we can create a Spring Boot project using a Spring Initializr. I will also keep the URL for the same in the description of this videos also. So as you can see in the form for this project, we have included Spring Boot Starter Web. This is basically used for creating the web application or a RESTful uh, endpoints. And then we have also the DevTools dependency. So DevTools dependency is basically, it helps the developer while debugging or while you're building the application. So we don't have to rebuild and redeploy or restart our application every time we are doing some changes. So it automatically handles all those things. For now, I have just commented out this test dependency because we are not going to write any test cases for our Hello World application. So let's start. So before starting, one most important thing for a Spring Boot application is this Hello World app application. So this class actually bootstraps the entire application which you build. So using this Spring Boot application annotation, it's actually loads all the required beans, creates beans, all the required beans it has been created using this annotation, and also there are different components like service repository or uh, any class you build in your Spring Boot application. This annotation tells that we have to scan all those classes and uh, fetch the required beans or configurations out of it. So that means everything can be, all everything which is required to run your application can be preloaded during the startup. So this is the one thing. So now let's start creating our endpoint. So for creating the any endpoint, the first thing is we have to create a controller. So I've already created a package for the controller, and I have also created a class hello world controller for it. So this is the class. So now to make any class work as a controller, we have to attach a annotation to it. So here we will be using REST controller annotation. Let's do Control Shift O and import the required class. So this REST controller will will tell that this class is a controller class. Okay, and now then use one more notation, request mapping. So request mapping will define a context path for this controller. Let's say let's give it as a Spring Boot. So now our main work starts. So we have to create one method and then expose it as a RESTful web service. So first part is creating that method. So we have to return a message. So our return type would be string, and let's say method name is get message, and this get message will return a message. So what should be our message? Since it's a hello world application, so we will return hello world. Go to learn Spring Boot. So this is our small message which we will be returning from our web service. So now we have to attach one annotation to this method. Then only it will be exposed as a web service, a RESTful web service. So we have already used this request mapping. We will be again using the same, but now we will be using some attributes with it. The first one is we will define method. So here we will be using the get method because we are just fetching the message. So as you can see, it has different like delete, get, add options, patch. All the HTTP methods are there. Based on your requirement, you can use them. For our case, we will be using get. And now the next part is defining the path. So here we will give value, and uh, let's say hello. Okay, so this say hello would be is attached to our method, this get message method. So if we want to expose this get message as a web service in the browser or in the Postman, we have to give the URL like /springboot/say hello. Then it should give us the message like hello world, go to learn Spring. So let's save it, and now let's build our project and then we will test it. Let's do Maven clean. So a project is built and now we have to run it. Let's run. So for running our application, we will go to this hello world app application, to the right click and then run as Java application. So as you can see, our application has started and it's running on port 8080. So port 8080 is a default port. We can change that port number also, but for now we will use this 8080. So we know the port, but what will be our complete URL? Let's first form it over here only, and then I will use it in the Postman. So this will be our endpoint. Let's cut it from here, and then we will test it. Let's open the Postman. So here's the Postman. Here we will paste our URL, and it's a get endpoint, so we are already using get over here. So let's click on send and let's see whether we get the message or not. Yeah, so here is our message, hello world, good to learn Spring Boot. So our first web service is created and we are able to test it using the Postman also. Let's get back to our code. So what we did is we just created a class, a controller class, and then we define the path for our web service, and then in the method we have just written the whatever message we have to return. So it's a small and a very basic example of a Spring Boot application which we have seen over here. In coming videos, I will be going through the basic and the most used annotations in the Spring Boot, and also I will also try to tell you the whole flow for a Spring Boot application, how the whole application is bootstrapped and how the flow works. So I hope you have understood from this video how we can create a simple Spring Boot application. So please like this video, share it, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.